Turn to page 459. Today we're covering advanced factoring, and the reason it's called advanced is because the coefficient and the x squared is not just a 1 anymore. So if you look at 109.1, the first thing we want to do is we want to rewrite this in descending order. Any factoring problem, that's what you want to do. So this will become 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. And this little guy right here is the one that causes the problem, makes everything a different ball game than what we've been doing. So we know that, first of all, we always look to see if there's a greatest common factor that we can take out. For 2, 7, and 15 there is not. So we're going to think reverse FOIL, okay, because we're going to go back into parentheses. So the only way to multiply and get a 2 is to have a 2x and a 1x. That part is easy. The factors of 15, we could have 1 and 15, or we could have 3 and 5. Now that's where we have to figure out which combination is going to work. Because remember, the outer and the inner terms combined have to either add or subtract to give us -7, the middle term. So because this is a -15, the only way we can multiply and get a negative is to have one positive and one negative. Alright, so it's not just a matter of put plus and minus in one of them and it doesn't matter which. It does matter because of this 2 right here. So there's nothing wrong with experimenting and getting it wrong. We just erase until we get the right combination. So we could put 3 and 5, and that would be 3 times 5 is 15. That works. And the outer would be 10x, and the inner would be 3x. Okay, now remember, one has to be positive and one has to be negative, so they're going to be subtracted. So 10x minus 3x will work, correct? Alright, now we need to determine where does the positive have to go and where does the negative have to go. Well, in order for these two guys to subtract and end up being a -7x, the 10 would have to be negative, wouldn't it? So that means the 2 times the 5 has to be negative, so the negative has to go here and the positive here. Now when we finish this, we always want to at least mentally check this, if not on paper. So 2x times x is 2x squared. Outer is minus 10x. Inner is plus 3x. And last would be -15. So yes, it checks. So here is the answer right here. Alright? Okay, next. 109.2 is already in descending order. And no, there's not a greatest common factor that we can take out of here. So the factors of 3 are 1 and 3, and the factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So the only way we can get this is to have a 1x and a 3x. And the only way we can get 2 is to either put a 1 here and a 2 here, or vice versa. So let's see how that works. Outer would be 2x. Inner would be 3x. This sign is negative, which means one of these has to be a positive, one has to be a negative. So they're going to be subtracted. One of these will be positive, one will be negative. So they're going to subtract. Will that subtract to be -1x? Yes, as long as the 3 is negative. Okay, so in order for this 3, the product 3, to be negative, this would have to be negative because -1 times 3 gives us this, which means this must be positive. Check it. X times 3x is 3x squared. Outer is plus 2x. Inner is minus 3x. And -1 times 2 is -2. So yes, it checks. And here's our answer right here. Alright, it's not too bad. And like I said, I just got lucky and picked the right combination the first time. If not, I just erase these numbers here and change them around until I get the right combination. Alright, last one. page 460. 109.3 says 5x squared minus 13x minus 6. Okay, it's in descending order. There's no greatest common factor. Factors of 5 are 1 and 5. Factors of 6 are 1 and 6 or 2 and 3. So we have a little bit of choice on this one right here. This one we know has to be an x and a 5x. And again, because this is negative, we know that one of these has to be plus and one has to be minus. I'm not sure which right now until we put the numbers in here. So if I put 1 and 6, that would be 6x and that would be 5x. And these are going to subtract because of this, and there's no way for that to be negative 13, is there? So, going to erase that. And we'll try, we could put 6 here and 1 here, but then that would be 30, and that's way too big. So we're not going to use 1 and 6 at all. So we could put 2 here and 3 here, and that would be 3x, and that would be 10x. Well, you might think it would work, but remember these have to subtract. And 10 minus 3 or 3 minus 10 is not going to be negative 13. So it can't be that, but it might be the other way around. Well, it's going to have to be the other way around. 3 and 2. So then this would be 2x and this would be 15x. Now they'll subtract to be negative 13 as long as that's a negative 15. So in order for this to be negative 15, this has to be a negative. This has to be a positive. Okay, now check it using FOIL. X times x, 5x squared. Outer, plus 2x. Inner, minus 15x, subtracts to be minus 13. And negative 3 times 2 is minus 6, so it does check. Alright, so we tried a couple different things.